Well, you know what they say. New year, new me. So back in August, I made a video about Toontown Event Horizon, an up-and-coming Toontown server that actually looks like it has the possibility to release and introduce some pretty cool features into Toontown. I gave my thoughts on the first 4 videos they released on their YouTube channel, but in a nutshell, the game looked promising with some ideas I liked and some I wasn't into. They introduced some new toons like the Dragon and Bat toons, which I thought were pretty cool. However, I thought it was a little jarring to see that they were also adding axolotl toons to the game, which I wasn't really too much of a fan of. But also introduced new gags like Bonk and Atomic, some new cog designs, specialists, and many more. So, some pretty interesting ideas I thought weren't too bad for the most part. I know I didn't really bring this up last time, but it definitely also seems like that the Event Horizon team's having fun with themselves with these videos. Compared to the other videos they did prior, Horizon Talks 2 was actually a pretty fun video of them revealing some new stuff, which is kinda cool since you don't really see that too much with other servers, and while they did get a little too much at times, it was still a pretty fun video, and a nice video to see what they revealed. They've also been doing animations with the YouTube channel as well, which is cool in itself, but I also kind of fear it might be a little too ambitious for them. They've pretty much added a whole new department of animation with their team, and I'm not really too sure how it is to find animators. I see people make Toontown animations in 2D art, like even with Toontown Corporate Clash, as they did that as like a one-time thing for 1.1. They should really use them wisely, because I feel like it's very easy to lose these people and not be able to make animations anymore. Since I imagine these people working for them are doing this as for like practice, or just to build a portfolio before they have to take these skills elsewhere and be paid for it. It does seem though they caught on to this since they recently reopened the animations position again on Twitter. So really all I have to say about that is just use them while you can before they have to end up going somewhere else. But moving on, while I've been mixed with the game, I tried to help give it advice and some things that they could take away from the video I made originally, since it probably was likely that they were going to see it, and I mistakenly made that the most viewed video for the game, so oops. However, I gave whatever advice and also tried to advise them not to rush content since that's basically what it felt like seeing some of the content that they made for it. I mean, it's still very impressive that just in 5 months they were able to whip up with what they had, but it still feels like they could have held off from showing some features, like some of the remade cogs, Atomic, the shaders, some of the toons, and even the Astrobots. However, it was all love, just things that they could have improved on before the game comes out, because at the end of the day, I would rather see this game succeed than fail. I'd like to see another new Toontown server throw their hat on the table, as the last one to really do it was Tooniversal in 2018, and since now, they haven't really been doing much too lately. So yeah, that was basically just a quick refresher to let you know my thoughts from last time. The team also seems to be pretty cool as well. I actually got to interact with them before and after I made that video, and they were pretty cool people to talk to. One of them saw my video, the lead developer, and he actually responded to my video, letting me know that a lot of my concerns I had and points I made would be brought up and fixed before release, which, you know, that's always awesome to hear. If anything, the reason why I make these videos is just to help give advice, so if they got the message that something needs to be changed for the better, I'm really glad that they're willing to help listen to their community to make this game way better, rather than just easily dismissing it. So leaving off from last time, things have been a little more quiet with Event Horizon than usual. They aren't exactly tweeting or giving updates with what's been going on with the game, and even that specialist video, they never ended up releasing it. Which in a way is probably a good thing, because it felt way too early for them to be releasing a whole video about it. They only showed one specialist as well. How do we know if the other ones they end up introducing will behave differently or have other special abilities? It just felt like this idea was still too early for them to get into. Now, whether this just be that they're starting to get a little less motivated pumping out things super quickly, or that they decided to keep quiet with what they've been up to, it's good to know that they're starting to take their time with what they're working on than constantly showing things that just clearly look unfinished. But now, after some slight updates and another Horizon Talks, I think it's time for us to delve into what they've been up to. Is it any good? Is it anything bad? Well, let's give it a look. So let's just start with the easy things, this Twitter post gift that they showed. Now, a couple of months after Horizon Talks 2, on September 19th, they released some new teasers for the game, which what they've been up to. While it's not a video, it's more so just a Twitter thread about what they've made. They talk about how Horizon Talks will now be every 2 quarters. I think that's probably better considering forcing yourself to give an update every quarter is probably annoying to do. So it's probably a better call that they did that. And also, the next one will be in December and talking about the 2 next major gameplay updates and the roadmap that they have over here, and a teaser showing the Event Horizon team while giving a better look at some of the new toons that they have. What the heck is that doing here? So they show the cow toons for the first time, along with giving us a better look at the bat toons, which they all look pretty good. What are you doing here, sharks? But now for the real stuff, our next Horizon Talks 3. So Pants introduces us to the video and gives us a brief recap of the year, but more interestingly in the video we see things 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the background. They look pretty alright, still a little rough, but I guess it's still to be expected with these kinds of videos. I mean, at least it's not... We're then talked about the 4th roadmap feature, and about the previous gag tracks, with some interesting clips here to take note of. Like with one of the clips, the bat is opening a prank, which I really do like a lot for tune-up. The skateboard gag, along with seeing better clips with Atomic and Bonk, while seeing some of the newer tunes and Astrobots here. And then we just have a damn sun as a gag, like goddamn. That doesn't instantly murder a cog, then really what does at this point? But Pants goes on to explain when fighting cogs you can only do one thing, just one attack per round. However, with their next major addition to Event Horizon, that basically changes. Introducing Hollow Hands. What's a Hollow Hand? A Hollow Hand is a second attack that can be used against cogs with these hollow cards. These can vary to damaging the cogs, a certain boost with gags, kinda like how Corporate Clash's SOSs work here, but not really putting yourself at risk if you're only by yourself. Or another hollow card being that you can restock your gags that you're about to play. These cards all being labeled as Bash, Gag Lift, and Restock Scan. They also tease but not demonstrate other ones called Dual Split, Guardian, and before I lose myself, I'll just let Pants explain the rest here.
Stronger gags, splitting gags, charging tune-up unites, charging other unites, doing damage, blocking your friends' damage, and I am just getting started.
So with all of that there, what are my thoughts with the Hollow Hand cards? Yeah, that's actually a really cool idea. This is a really creative new attack. Just, I'm really interested to see where this game mechanic goes, with battles and just how it works when I get to play with it. There's still a lot of unanswered questions to like, how do I get these cards? Will they be like SOSs when you collect them? You know, some things to wonder, but the general idea of it just sounds really neat. This might possibly tease what kinds of battles we might be seeing in the games with these attacks like this, but yeah, off of a first glance, I could see myself really liking this a lot. We also get a better look at some of the Astrobots here too. Now, despite me saying that the Moonwalker's name sounding weird, it's surprisingly not too bad of a model here, along with getting a better look at the Space Cadet here, and he looks really good here as well. My main concern with him was I thought he was going to be a little weird considering he's just a circle, but no, he's a pretty good conversion into 3D. And the Wayfinder here is also really solid. He's looking pretty good too. We also see the Cobra tunes and... is that a dinosaur tune? Both here. Cobras are kind of like with Kiwis, which if they were gonna do that tune, at least here it's done pretty well. The dinosaur, and I apologize if I'm wrong, looks okay, but its muzzle's looking kinda weird, but it's not too bad, but it does look a little weird here. And also we get a look at Sheep tunes over here, which I think they look pretty good. But yeah, taking everything away from what I saw in Roadmap 4, my god, this was definitely a treat to see. Next up with the video is about the newer gags and mechanics. They do some updates with tune-up and demonstrate how it can be a small self-heal item while also hurting the cogs as well. So the idea is pretty simple. Hit them with a tune-up, and then after the next round, after applying it, it'll do more damage to them. A pretty smart way into making a heal item something more useful in battle, and even making this gag track possibly more easier to train in the future. I will say in Toontown Written and Toontown Corporate Clash, this is a gag I kinda sometimes struggle to max, so to have it here is just awesome. They also have some other changes with the rest, like Trap working with Bonk with the stagger effect, Lure with its knockback bonuses being decreased from 30 to 50, Sound being the group attack but less on its own, but also it can generate another effect called a Renaissance, which deals the damage to cogs when different gags hit them. Throw is basically the same here. Squirt can cleanse a buff from a cog, but interestingly, Squirt can also be used on tunes as well, getting rid of buffs and healing them slightly. Atomic, I'm glad to hear, has also been more simplified, which thank god, and Drop basically just being the same. So yeah, awesome new changes with these gags. None of them feel weird or I'm like questioning their inclusion or feature. This is actually kind of good and a cool new spin to some of these gags. We even get to see some of the newer gags here, and honestly, they're pretty great inclusions. While some still kind of stick out, like, you know, pancakes for Throw and, like, the bubble wand, but the in-game models for them still kind of look good here. But then you have things like Toon Statue, Docket, Skateboard, the Snake in a Can tune-up, or Prank, or whatever you'd like to call it. All of these just feel like great inclusions, especially that tune-up one. I really like that one a lot. We also get to see better eyelids with the dragons. Why I noticed this, I don't know, but this is kind of a nicer take with the art. If the other tunes are getting getting this, I'm kind of interested to see on how it'll look with the other ones. Next up from Pants, he goes on to discuss on how while these newer ideas and mechanics to the game seem probably a little overwhelming, their next thing to tackle is making this much more easier for people to understand, and that just feels so awesome to hear. That was possibly my main concern with this game, how it felt like this was going to be too confusing for the average player and would be less friendly to someone newer to this style of Toontown and can't really easily pick it up and play. Atomic's also been shown its much more simplified features compared to its older showing back in early 2022, which is just again assuring to hear when I thought Atomic would have been this like confusing gag to understand. But it feels really nice for them to understand that this kind of style only is really catered towards one group and not really everyone, and they want this game to be for everybody, which is good news to hear for the game. Also in the clip, we also see these new chat bars. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a dev tool, but now I'm very curious to know what this is. They better show us this one day. And now for our final roadmap teaser, Roadmap 5, we're introduced to this mysterious character, this being possibly another manager talking, but what's being shown here is limits. I'm still a little confused to what limits are and how exactly they work, but basically what limits are is a challenge mode to pre-existing bosses in the game, and from these you're collecting heats, which I guess is a currency for limits here. And from my understanding, doing these certain things in these battles while the cogs have environmental effects going on, kinda like with Clash's status effects, but way more cooler and its own mode. There's this atmosphere, a poison to the toons and they get damaged every round, anger management when a cog self-destructs, and if you don't destroy them in time, they explode, which causes you to lose 50 health, time crunch being in effect when you have lesser time to fight the cogs. I kinda like the idea of limits, but what we're being told here, I feel like we still need a little more explanation and time with it. They show cog bosses, which makes me assume that this is going to be a limits version of each bosses, like limits VP, limits CFO, limits CJ. It seems like by doing these limit battles, you'll finally figure out who this mysterious boss is, which I think the idea could have some cool potential, but I would still like to know a little more about limits and how exactly it works in the game, and some other things revolving it. But as it is, it does sound like a pretty promising concept. Next up is something I'm actually really glad to hear. First off, I addressed in my older video about Toontown Event Horizon how I made a complaint about how some of the cogs they displayed, while looked nice for the most part, some just didn't look good, and the others, while not bad, didn't really exactly fit the style together. They kinda looked like a mishmash. But it's been announced that they're actually going to be redoing some of the cogs, and taking a look at them, that is a huge improvement. The Backstabber and Gladhander, I'm really glad. They had like a huge glow up. They look 100 times better, and that's awesome. But there's actually even more. They even talk about the problems I had with the shading, saying how it looked good in some areas, but they kind of look sloppy in the video, and they kind of admit themselves it doesn't look the best as well. And that they state that they're going to be making their own shaders and more closer to what they want. They said that they used Cog Invasion shaders originally, which I'm actually really happy to hear that they're ditching, because the Cog Invasion shaders weren't really the best. So it's awesome that they're going to be making these changes, but to even add more improvements that they're going to be doing, they also announced that they're making better quality gag models, suits, and retextures. And also, oh my god, they give a quick refresher on how they did with the newer toons. The cows look amazing, especially since this was one of the same guys who helped made the ODS cow, and they made it look original and pretty good. The cobras here are looking pretty good, Chameleon looking pretty alright, might need some touch-ups, but it's fine. I thought this was a bird. I don't know, is this an ant? Antoons? They should voice me to do that. I'm Antony. Hey everyone, it's me, Anthony, who's editing this right now. So I was actually wrong about both of that. That's not an ant or a bird. That's a moth. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I looked it up. That definitely does look like a moth. I only sound so surprised because the artwork for it over there, that honestly looks like a bird rather than a moth. So I was kind of surprised to know that's a moth. A pretty strange inclusion for one of the toons, I guess, but yeah, there it is. I don't really think that's a good thing when you show somebody a toon and they don't immediately recognize what it is, because from all the other toons, even Toontown servers, I could at least tell what this toon is. I don't know, I guess I'm just not really clicking with this toon. Next up we have the owls here, and I don't know about this one either. I've looked at this model and I tried giving it a fair chance, but I don't think they really translate well as like toons. And sure, technically you could make any animal a toon, but I feel like this head model just straight up looks like they got an owl and put it on a toon's head. Alright, that might have made no sense, but let me just explain it a little further. Like, say I took the Hypno Owl from Toontown 2.0 and I stuck it onto a Toon's body. That's what it kind of looks like over here. And I'm not trying to say that that's basically what they did here, but you can kind of feel that's really what it looks like. I just feel as if some of the Toons they're trying to pick over here really don't work all that well because of the limitations of Toontown Online. They can't really do much with these Toon heads. They can't exactly make the owls look more like owls in the game or give moth Toons like wings or something like that to help them out. And there's really not much they can do about this, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of one of the issues with some of these newer Toons here. The animals that they're picking to become Toons are just kind of hard to design in general for the game. That said though, in my personal opinion, I don't really know if I like owl Toons here as well. Then we have sharks over here, which I think they're better as a cog, maybe not a Toon, but I'll give my 2 cents over here with it. Now sharks here for the most part, they're okay, but I'm not really too much of a fan of its muzzle over here. I think it might look a little better if like the colors faded in with each other so it looks a little more natural. I think I'm not a huge fan of the muzzle probably because they're using 2 different shades of a color than 2 different colors as sharks normally are. I still possibly think shark Toons could work, but we're just gonna have to wait to see how finalized it looks when the game releases. Alright, I think that's probably enough rambling with all of these Toons. If anything, this is probably like the only critical part I have to say with Event Horizon right here, but take that as you will, I guess. And finally, they wrap up with the story on how it'll be episodic and how they'll develop their own plots and characters as time goes on. And that finally concludes Horizon Talks 3 and everything they had planned for 2022. So yeah, what are my thoughts with it? I was actually kind of impressed with this Horizon Talk. Now, I know I'm often critical sometimes, and was kind of with the last Horizon Talk they did, but Horizon Talks 3 basically took all of my concerns for the game and fixed everything, or are fixing things right now, which is just really cool to see. It makes me really happy and confident with this game knowing that they're willing to take feedback and admit mistakes with things that they showed, while simultaneously impressing me with newer features they have here, and some updates that they're doing with the gags, some of the models here as well, and just making everything look way better. It shows that they're willing to take the extra step and fix problems that people had. You don't really see a lot of servers publicly state their faults, so it's kinda cool that they addressed it here. But yeah, my fears with Atomic, the shading, the cog models, yeah, those problems have been gone and it feels great to see the improvement with them. It's nice that the game will also be more beginner friendly while also bringing in more people who are familiar with this style. The holo cards are really cool and a neat idea, along with the newer gags being shown and how they're different in this game. And limits in the newer Toons here are pretty nice to see here as well. This definitely felt like a breath of fresh air for Event Horizon. It was a really good way for them to end this year. After me not knowing how to feel about this game, to me now being interested and now feeling a little won over. Now because they took forever to make this video, they actually did 2 more teasers while I was editing this. They posted a short teaser on Valentine's Day. It teases the holo card called Guardian that serves as a defense to protect another Toon from getting hit and letting you get the damage for them, which again is a pretty neat idea for the holo cards. And in this teaser, we actually get to see a newer Toon, the seals. Now, I love seals, I think they're a very cute animal, and I think this one's actually not too bad here, albeit this model does look a little basic considering all it really is just like a circle with whiskers and other little features seals have. This one's really not too bad, but I kinda will say this is kinda what I mean by some animals just don't really work all that well. I mean, it's a seal, there's really not much more they can do to make this better, but you kinda see what I mean by some of them just don't work better than others, but I don't know, prove me wrong there. And then we also see a new kind of Toon, Turtle Toons. In my personal opinion, turtles kinda seem weird here. Like, this is one of those Toons that's kind of hard to translate considering all you can really do is just make the head look nice, but there really isn't too much you can really do to make it look like a turtle. Kind of like making a Toon that's based off of like a slug or like a crab or something. But if it means anything, my girlfriend said she thought this Toon was insanely cute, so it just might be a preference thing on my end. We also get to see the new blinking animation these Toons have. This is such a weird detail to redo, but I'm all for it. It looks incredible on the Toons here. Something so small of a feature makes the Toons just looks so much more updated without really having to do too much here. And also something kind of cool, we get to see better angles of the ground control and astronomer. Ground control still looked good as we previously saw her. Same with the astronomer, at least now we can see her with some pretty better and clearer angles with her. Oh, and also, the big reveal everyone, orbital cameras, oh my god. And yeah, now this will finally conclude everything I have to say with Toontown Event Horizon for now. With being told and shown everything in these teasers and videos, it makes me pretty excited to see what's to come. I know some are still a little unamused, which fine, but hey, I'm really starting to like this game and I'm really interested to see where this goes next. What Event Horizon is showing could really just only be the tip of the iceberg with what they have planned. This being such a different Toontown game, I'm not sure what to expect next, but that's kind of what I love about it so far. Whether we see an alpha release or whatever they decide to do this year, Event Horizon's looking pretty good in terms of quality and variety of things for you to do. And while I hope to see that more with its task line and story more so, I'm really excited to see where they go next with this game. As for the first time in a long time, it feels great to be excited over a new Toontown server. I swear to God, if this server ends up failing, I'm just going to give up at this point. But yeah, I thought I'd make this quick update video for you guys just to update my thoughts with Event Horizon and more of my thoughts on what they've been up to. If you want to check them out, I'll link them in the description below as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, happy 2023, and I'll see you next time.